Arsenal news has struck today, and it's come from John Cross that said there's been a breakthrough in the Declan Rice deal. He states that Declan Rice has already made it clear that he favours a move to Arsenal this summer. Arsenal put a lot of work in, and they expect the deal to happen, and they are riding out in pole position. How excited does that make you feel, Igal, that you're winning the race for Declan Rice right now? You're ahead of everybody. He wants to join. Talk to me.
We've been talking to him since January. It should be done. What the hell? Why am I sitting here excited? Like, get the job done. Get our transfers in. We got stuff to focus on. I need these guys to have their heads on right this window. We can't mess up. We need to focus because the reality is everyone's looking at us to slip up next season. If we get our transfers in early, we get our players in early, we get our stuff focused, we get the right players in, and we get rid of the players that we can come preseason. We'll, everyone will be like, you know what? Actually, Arsenal done some serious business, and we won't be looking at them as a team that's going to regress. We might look at them as a team to challenge next season. But regardless, the people in the back, the people on the board in the back room, they should have this They should be calling West Ham, getting this sorted immediately after the Conference League final, and have him ready to go first game of preseason. If I don't see Declan Rice as one of the first signings for Arsenal, it just shows that they weren't getting their jobs done quick enough for this deal, because this deal has been in the works since January.
What role is he going to be in if he goes to Arsenal? Is he going to be like an outright
I think
defensive
he's going to be in the
midfielder?
Partey. I think he's going to be the six, because a lot of Arsenal fans think we're going to sign Declan Rice and Caicedo. I don't believe that at all. I believe we're going to probably get Declan Rice, and we're looking at Caicedo as the alternative. And they've said a lot of things where they want someone else to replace Xhaka. They're talking about Mason Mount. They're talking about all these other names. But the truth is, he offers us cover for both positions. But I do think he'll ideally be playing as that six, that person who picks up the ball off the center halves and drives it forward and drives from the deep line midfield area.
I want to ask you a question, Igal. There are a lot of talk of Arsenal getting rid of a lot of players this summer, a big clear out, and quite a number of players coming in. Are you worried that if you have 6 or 7 leaves, 4 or 5, 6 come in, that you won't be able to challenge next year because there won't be enough time to get them to gel?
100%. I don't want us to get rid of too many players. I want us to keep. If you're going to get rid of Xhaka, don't get now and go and sell Partey. Even though Partey has 1 year left, I would keep Partey. The guys that I would get rid of are the Runnersons, the Cedrics, the Nuno Tavares, the Holding, Pablo Mari, Ainsley Maynard, Pepe. I'll get rid of all those guys. We have like 15 of those guys we could name and sell right now. They would garner us easily 60 million, I believe, if we went and sold like 12 of those fringe players instead of going and selling Partey on top of Eddie Nketiah. Maybe Balogun even will probably get sold for a decent amount. I don't want to sell Partey. I don't want to keep Holding, but I would understand if they kept some of these guys in and around the team and maybe got rid of Xhaka and just some of the fringe players. Don't sell Partey.
What about a lot of Arsenal fans seem excited, if you don't, about the re-signing of Reiss Nelson on a new big long-term deal?
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I'm happy with Reiss Nelson being sold, not being sold, because not being let go for free. Because this is a young player who's 23 years old and finally showing what we've wanted from him in a long time. I know he's only played 10 games and he's only been in a bench role, but in that role he was impactful off the bench against 3 games that were very close. He made the difference against Nottingham Forest. He made the difference against Aston Villa, and I do believe, given more opportunities, now that we're going to be in the Champions League and we're going to be playing the Premier League, he can be a player that will offer us something off the bench or even starting in games, hopefully, going forward. And he's still very young. So if we would have let him to go to Brighton or Aston Villa, it would have been a mistake. And people would have been looking at us like, why did we let this talented youngster go?
Miguel, have you seen the comment below by Lee Gunner?
Well, there's no reason to win the league next season.
To not win the league.
I agree. I think we should go on and win the league next season.
Will you? Do you think you will?
I believe we will.
If you're making a prediction
Good luck with
I
that.
believe we can strengthen.
Wow.
If we strengthen and we get the right players in and they all come into the team and they gel well, what's stopping us?
Even with Champions League football.
Even with Champions League football. That's the aim for next season. We challenge this season. The aim next season is to win the league. Now, where I disagree with Ligue 1 is I don't think we're going to go and win the Champions League. next season, because that is going to take a little bit more experience to be in the Champions League. A lot of our players haven't even played in the Champions League yet. So people are going to say excuses for Champions League. I don't think anyone's expecting Arsenal to go into the Champions League next year and win the Champions League. Maybe quarterfinals is really like the end goal or ambition for next season. Because if we can get to a quarterfinal from a team that wasn't even in the competition for 6 years to get to the quarterfinals or semis, that's a massive accomplishment. But to the league, for us to challenge this year and to regress, to go third or fourth next season would be regression. We can't do that. We have to go on to push on and try to win it. And if we don't win it, there's going to be circumstances and consequences from that.
Nobbins, Gal said he doesn't see no reason why Arsenal can't win the league next year. As a City fan, looking at who they're linked with, who they're going to be selling, are you worried they're going to be even better next year? Are they a threat to your crown?
There's the reason right there, that bold fraud I'm pointing to. That's the reason why Arsenal won't win the league, because Guardiola's City still exists. I think that we are just going to get better. I think that the City we've seen, I don't think City have actually been that good this season. Everyone's saying this best Premier League side ever, need to chill out. Maybe from like March to now, maybe. But, there was a period where we were like, borderline bad. But I think the City we're seeing now, i.e. the one from March to late Feb to present, the one since the FFP charges actually. I think this is the sort of like the final form, and if that City is there for the entirety of next season, I don't really genuinely know who actually gets close to us, sort of like in like the come match week 37. Sam's giving me the eyebrow there. I do think that Liverpool could challenge and maybe come second if they sign 4 decent players. But I think the main reason which will stop everyone else won't necessarily even be themselves. It will be the existence of, in my opinion, a City side which will have fully adapted to Haaland. And if anything, I can only see him scoring more goals next year. I can only see City winning more games and getting more points next year. So something might go wrong, but in my opinion, if you want to challenge City next year, you're going to be looking at around 95 points, I think.
Damn, that's a bold prediction. You're going to fall off though, Nobbins.
You're going to fall off next year. Next year, probability says
no one's done 4 in a row, Nobbins.
Yeah,
no one's done 4 in a row.
History's there to be broken.
Done 4 in a row. Even doing 3 in a row this season, you're breaking the mold.
Yeah, and no manager has ever won.
They're not breaking the mold. It's been done twice in the Premier League. They're not breaking the mold.
No manager has
but
ever
it hasn't been done
in titles in a row in 3 different leagues.
I mean.
That's what Pep Guardiola's done. So he's there to break the records. He's there to make history, and he's just going to do it again next year. No cap.
It's a big bold prediction. True Blue here says a whole lot of ifs in what you said there, Igal, about Arsenal.
Hey, there's a whole lot of ifs about Man United, but you were adamant that you believe in what you're saying. So
I get that, but why would you challenge people's ifs and then give ifs yourself? You make ifs sound like that's not a
I kept it consistent. I said the same ifs that I said about Man United for Arsenal. If those don't happen, then nothing's stopping us. And I do believe we're currently in a better situation than Man United because we've already challenged this season. Now we just need to go on and push on and add those 2 or 3 players and a little bit more quality in our team. We don't need to go and sign a new goalkeeper, sign a new this, sign a new that. We really only need to go sign a midfielder and more squad depth.
Patrick,
Striker.
over to you.
Striker.
What? Striker? I would love to sign a striker, but I don't think we're going to sign a striker this summer.
Do you think you need a striker?
You need a striker. That's my opinion.
I'm asking, do you think? No, I'm asking, do you think?
I don't disagree with you. I think if this team wants to compete in the Champions League and in the league in the long run and try to win both competitions, then yes. But the reality is, I don't think Arsenal's going to go and sign a striker this summer. I don't think we're going to do that. I think even without signing a striker, I still think we have enough quality to go on and push on. I personally would take a punt on Ivan Toney and bring him in January.
It's going to be interesting. This year says, isn't next season top 5 Champions League qualification? I think so. I need to go and double check.
I think it's depending on your coefficient.
Yeah, and England will probably have quite a good high the team.
But you guys are almost forgetting that the players that we have in our squad can't get better because majority of the average age of our squad is very young. So who's to say they don't get much better?
So you think with a good window, you're expecting Arsenal to win the league next season? I'm just clarifying.
I'm expecting them to push on from where they were this season, challenging. So yes.
All right, cool.
So yes, to go from challenging to winning the league is not ridiculous.
No,
to
it's
go
not.
from
I'm
third
just asking so I
challenging
know
is
where
crazy.
you're
I,
at. I'm just asking
I
to know where
agree.
you're at.
I agree. And to be 4 or 5 wins away from challenging and to improve in the summer isn't ridiculous either.
I think what's crazier is people who are saying Arsenal's going to fall off and regress to finish 4th next season. That's what I find even crazier, because that's basically saying that our players have all hit their ceilings. None of them can get better. None of them can sustain what they've done this season.
Yeah.
Even though you guys all criticize Jesus for not scoring enough goals, making fun of Saka saying his poor form end of the season, it literally only takes a little bit more improvement from all those players, plus filling out a couple players here and
But
there.
it
It's
also
not too
means
far
other
off.
teams could do better and improve.
Yeah, isn't that
You
the
know
same
what?
for anyone else? The same
Although I
notion
agree
is
with
for
other
everyone.
teams doing better, Chelsea need to double their points tally from this season to get to us.
Not us. Not us.
Liverpool, I hear it. Man United, I hear it. But when people start mentioning Tottenham, Newcastle, and all you guys,
No
I
one's
just feel
mentioned
they're a
those
little bit
teams.
further away.
I've just said other teams could be more
No
competitive. I
one's-
never named Chelsea or
No,
any other
but
team.
every time when people start with these conversations, other teams going to get better. First team they mention is the most underperforming teams in
I
Chelsea.
get that, but you
You
know
get
what I
what I'm
say,
saying?
Gal? The reason you get challenged is because you say things like, "Why are you confident, Terry?" A lot of ifs, a lot of buts, a lot of maybes. You got to improve. You got to buy people, make them gel, and then all the reasons that you think you're going to improve are identical to the reasons that other teams think their team will improve. That's why you get called out, not because you're
I
wrong,
factored those in, Terry.
but not because you're wrong, but you challenge people's logic, and then have almost an identical logic about your own.
No, but that's consistency, Terry.
No,
If I challenge your logic, if I challenge your team,
no, but hang on,
let me
no, I'm sorry. It's not the same logic. If you challenge my logic and say, why do you think that? That's wrong, and then use the same logic to back up your argument, that is the opposite of consistency. You shouldn't challenge my logic.
Terry,
Yes.
what I'm saying is, if I'm saying these are the things that are going to stop Manchester United, I'm saying if these things work for us, then we can go on and win it. Because I believe those things.
So what you've done there is you've gone right, same logic, but you go right. If all those things work for us, we'll win the league. But Man United, I'm going to go, yeah, but what if they go wrong, Terry? So you're reversing the logic. You're not having the same energy for both conversations, and that's fine to do as a rival, but expect to be challenged. You always wonder why people challenge you. It's because you reverse it all the time instead of being fair and consistent. That's why you're laughing. The smirks
Terry,
out.
I'm making a valid point, but you're trying to change it up.
I'm not. Again, you're getting me wrong, Igal. You're not listening. I didn't say your points weren't valid. I'm pointing out to you why you get challenged. I didn't say you didn't make a valid point.
No, I understand why I get challenged because it triggers
No,
people.
you ask why do people challenge me all the time? You literally said that on the show.
You did say.
I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious.
This super chat here says only reason we were top this year is because everyone else had poor starts to their season. We'll be lucky to get 4th or 5th next year, is what Cliff, the Arsenal fan, has
Cliff,
done.
that's bullshit.
That's
You got 50
hypocritical.
points out of 57. Like, behave, honestly.
You
can't blame everyone else.
Mikel Arteta ain't the one, Gal. That's what the guy said at the end. Cliff. Shout out to Cliff.
Listen, Mikel Arteta still has to prove to a lot of the fans that don't believe in him that he is the one by winning a major trophy. And there's nothing wrong with that.